Ag Bioscience, the #1 ag tech podcast globally, is now available on video. Hear from leaders and innovators across food, animal health, plant science, ag tech, and agriculture. Mondays at 6 a.m. on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. While you're there, subscribe and leave us a review. It's the Ag Bioscience Podcast with Agronovis Indiana. Get more information at agronovisindiana.com.
The internet changed how we work. AI is changing what work gets done. A bank cut loan processing from days to hours. A student built an AI scheduler, improving on-time delivery from under 70% to over 90%. Most teams know AI matters, but aren't sure where to start. InAI is Indiana's statewide AI adoption effort, built with industry, academia, and community partners, helping you move from understanding to action. Visit inaiready.com.
This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Thursday, July 9th, 2026. I'm Abriana Herron. Just 7 months after taking the helm at Valparaiso University, President Brian Konkol says he's living out his childhood dream. Konkol began his tenure January 1st after serving as vice president and dean at Syracuse University.
It has been far better than I ever could have imagined because I've met the people, and the people are committed, they're loving, they're dedicated, and they're already making a tremendous difference, and we're going to do so in the years to come.
The university is also celebrating a milestone. Last month, Valparaiso announced its first year-over-year enrollment increase in 10 years. And as of June 12th, the university's undergraduate deposits for students beginning their studies this fall have reached 674 students, a 5% increase over the last year. South Bend Ethanol has officially changed its name to Verbio South Bend, aligning the facility with the company's global brand as work continues on its $230 million expansion project. The name change took effect July 1st and does not affect the company's ownership, operations, products, services, or existing business relationships. Indiana Humanities has hired an experienced nonprofit executive as its first new leader in 18 years. Shelley Hunter was named Thursday as president and CEO of the organization, which promotes intellectual engagement through traveling exhibitions, public conversations, and the literary arts. Hunter, who has spent the past 10 years as CEO at Indianapolis-based nonprofit College Mentors for Kids Incorporated, will succeed Kiera Amstutz, who served as president and CEO of Indiana Humanities for 18 years. Amstutz stepped down from the position in February and launched her own consulting firm. Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand is made possible by the following.
Thanks for listening to this IBJ Media podcast. You're probably going to remember this ad. Do you know why? Podcast advertising works. 85% of listeners recalled hearing an ad during a podcast, and 70% of podcast listeners have acted after hearing an ad. So whether you're looking to be heard across the entire IBJ Media Podcast Network, sponsor one of our shows, or just start with a 30-second ad, IBJ Media can help. Contact advertise at ibj.com to learn more.
As libraries are increasingly becoming a first stop for Hoosiers experiencing mental health crises, a new program is helping librarians better respond. Inside Indiana Businesses, Alex Brown has more.
Mental Health America of Indiana is launching a statewide training program to help library staff recognize mental health crises and connect patrons with resources for suicide prevention, addiction treatment, and other mental health services. The initiative is funded through a $50,000 grant from Molina Cares Accord and Molina Healthcare in partnership with the Indiana Library Federation. Mental Health America of Indiana estimates 1 in 5 Hoosier adults live with a mental illness and says there are 3 times as many libraries as hospitals across the state. A survey by the Indiana Library Federation found 85% of library workers have encountered patrons they believe were experiencing mental illness. Nearly half have called emergency services to help someone in crisis, and 70% said they or a coworker had experienced secondary trauma on the job. Organizers say the goal is not to turn librarians into mental health professionals. Instead, the training will give library staff practical tools to de-escalate situations, connect people with local mental health resources, and recognize when someone needs immediate help through the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline or emergency responders. The program will train groups of librarians from across Indiana each quarter, with organizers hoping it leads to long-term investment in mental health support for libraries. Alex Brown, Inside Indiana Business Radio.
The U.S. Department of Transportation has awarded the Ports of Indiana its largest ever federal grant for a transformational redevelopment of its port operations in Jeffersonville. The $25 million build grant will help support a $32 million expansion that will more than double the port's cargo footprint, increase lift capacity from 35 tons to 300 tons, and boost barge rail transloading capacity. The amount of the grant also represents the port's largest single infrastructure investment since opening in 1985. And Steak 'n Shake is waiving franchise program fees for veterans as part of a new partnership with the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. The effort aims to expand business ownership opportunities and increase awareness of VA services. The Indianapolis-based restaurant chain announced the initiative Wednesday alongside VA Secretary Doug Collins and U.S. Senator Jim Banks during an event in Fort Wayne. Under a memorandum of understanding between the VA and Steak 'n Shake, the company will waive a $10,000 fee for its franchise partner program for veterans seeking to operate a Steak 'n Shake franchise. Senator Banks said the initiative highlights Steak 'n Shake's commitment to veterans while creating new business opportunities.
Steak 'n Shake is the most pro-veteran restaurant in America, and they've proven it with this announcement that they've made to waive their franchise fees so that veterans, our American heroes, get a chance to start a business, own a business, and be a part of this great company, Steak 'n Shake.
The agreement also calls for Steak 'n Shake restaurants nationwide to promote VA healthcare and benefits through in-store signage and on the company's website. In addition, Steak 'n Shake said it will prioritize hiring veterans, their family members, caregivers, and survivors for leadership positions across the country. Check out the latest episodes of the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, and entertainment, and beyond. Available now on the IBJ Media app or your favorite podcast provider. I'm Abriana Herron for Inside Indiana Business Radio on demand.